At a tough public high school in West Baltimore, a reserved substitute math teacher with no social media and a beat-up, Corolla quickly earns the trust of students, especially troubled black teens the system gave up on. But beneath his calm demeanor and carefully rehearsed lessons, he's not a teacher at all. He's a federal agent undercover to monitor a rising pipeline of cartel recruitment flowing through the school's after-hours programs. When a student goes missing and the wrong kid is blamed, his mission gets personal. The agent must risk blowing his cover to expose the real traffickers, but the deeper he goes, the more he questions whether the agency is protecting justice or hiding something worse. Before we expose the secrets buried in this case, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell, because in this world of lies, betrayal, and missing files, one click might be your only way to the truth. Now, let's begin. It started with a fire drill that wasn't a drill. The hallway at Carver Prep High flooded with noise and confusion, students spilling out of classrooms, shouting, phones out, teachers herding bodies toward the lot with half-raised arms and dead eyes. But Mr. Malik Ross didn't move. He stood in room 204, staring at the crumpled scrap of paper he just pulled from the back of a student's graphing notebook. No name, just a drawing. A crude stick figure hanging upside down from what looked like gym bleachers, red ink scratched like blood pooling beneath it, and 2 letters scrawled beneath the scene, CB. That was all. But Malik had seen symbols like this before. Codes masked as doodles, gang markings hidden in innocent sketches, messages meant for someone else to find. He folded the note and slid it into his coat just as the school's vice principal, Miss Carla Dennis, poked her head through the door. "Mr. Ross? Let's move, please." Her tone was tight, impatient. She never liked him. She didn't trust people without a Facebook profile. He nodded silently and followed the last straggling freshman out the door, watching the halls empty around him like blood draining from veins. Outside, the sky was gray and heavy, kids laughing like nothing was wrong, earbuds in, smoke drifting in loose clouds behind the bike racks. But something was wrong. He felt it in his bones. 3 hours later, Malik sat alone in the corner of a shuttered Burger King parking lot, windows up, tablet in his lap, burner phone vibrating every few minutes. Across the street, the faded Carver Prep banner flapped against the chain-linked fence like a flag in surrender. The school day had resumed, but Malik had pulled himself out of rotation. Said he had a migraine. The agency gave him leeway like that. Long leash. As long as he produced. He pulled up the student roster and cross-referenced class periods. Whoever owned that notebook had third-period geometry, about 22 students. Half of them barely passed reading levels, 4 had ankle monitors, 3 were recent transfers from juvenile corrections. But one name caught his eye. Cameron B., age 15. Known associate of Jelen Switch Moore, suspected runner for the Marquez cartel, previous suspension for fighting. Once found with prescription pills, never officially charged. Cameron hadn't shown up since last Friday. Malik clicked on the time-stamped hallway footage. It showed a slouched teenager in a red hoodie, ducking into the rear stairwell after lunch. No footage of him ever coming out. The next morning, Malik stood in front of the class with chalk dust on his fingers and a barely functioning Promethean board behind him. "All right, long division. Let's not pretend this isn't review," he said flatly. "But we're going to do it anyway, because y'all forgot over the weekend." A few students chuckled. Most didn't look up. As Malik paced between rows, he caught sight of a girl with deep eyes and chipped pink nails tracing shapes into her desk with a paperclip. Her name was Deja. She never raised her hand, but her test scores were top 10%. She didn't flinch when he stopped beside her. "You knew Cameron, right?" he asked quietly. Her hand froze. "I don't talk to people who disappear," she said, without looking up. What does that mean? Deja glanced sideways, then tilted her head toward the ceiling's busted camera. It means people disappear, and it ain't your business. Then she leaned in closer and whispered, just loud enough for him to hear. Don't go a skin about Cameron. That's how you become Cameron. That night, Malik sat in his car watching the back entrance to a local boxing gym where Jelen Moore ran night classes. The gym was technically for at-risk youth, funded with a grant. Even had a mural of smiling kids painted by the mayor's niece. But Malik knew it for what it was, a front, a recruiting center. He counted 3 lookouts. One of them had a tattoo of a crow with red eyes inked behind his ear. That was a Marcus marker. Malik's phone buzzed. It was a message from his agency contact. Don't interfere with Jelen. Just monitor. Trust the bigger play. He stared at the screen. Then at the gym. Then at the red hoodie peeking out from the passenger seat of Jelen's black SUV pulling up out front. It was Cameron. Still alive. Eyes darting. Hands clenched. Whatever this mission was supposed to be, it had just shifted. The agency said observe. Malik had another word in mind. Protect. Even if it meant breaking every rule. Malik didn't sleep that night. He sat in his Corolla with the seat reclined just enough to stay hidden beneath the dashboard glare. Eyes locked on the gym's side exit, fingers hovering over his burner like it was a trigger. Cameron's face had aged, not in years, in something deeper. That blank stare he gave Jelen as he followed him inside the gym told Malik everything. The kid wasn't a visitor. He'd been claimed. At 412A, the lights in the gym finally died. Jelen's SUV peeled out first. Cameron wasn't in it. Malik opened his door. The lock was busted. Had been for weeks. He knew because the agency's field notes said so. Still, he moved cautiously. Flashlight low, gloved hands brushing the wall for stability as the smell of bleach and blood hit his nose hard. The gym was cleaner than it should have been. No sweat in the air, no chalk dust. Just too much sterilized floor and silence. He passed the main ring, down a hallway lined with old fight posters, and reached the locker room. Rows of empty metal lockers stood open like mouths. One door had a crooked sticker on it. Don't tap out. It wasn't locked. Inside, he found a pair of sneakers. Size 9. One of the laces was frayed and pink-stained. Malik crouched and touched it gently. That's when he heard it. A shuffle. Soft, dragging, coming from the boiler room. He pressed against the wall, drew his concealed Sig Sauer with one hand, and turned the knob with the other. The heat was heavy, humming. Water dripped slowly somewhere in the back. And in the far corner, behind a row of old chairs and crates, was a boy, curled up, coughing. Cameron. The kid's eyes snapped open like a trapped animal's. No, 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 I didn't say nothin'. I swear. Cameron, it's me, Mr. Ross, from Carver. The kid blinked, trying to focus. His lip was split, right eye swollen shut. Malik moved closer, gun lowered. You don't work there. Not really, Cameron muttered, dazed. Malik paused. The cover was cracked. I'm not here to hurt you. I just need to get you out. Cameron tried to sit up, but hissed in pain. Ribs, bruised or worse. They said I was too smart, he said. Said if I didn't play along, they'd do my sister like they did Rico. Malik froze. Rico Jenkins had been found overdosed behind a Dollar General dumpster 2 weeks ago. 17. Football scholarship. Clean record. The file said, accidental. It wasn't. By sunrise, Malik had Cameron in the back seat, wrapped in a hoodie and slouched low. They weren't headed to a hospital. Not yet. Too many questions. Too many dirty hands in the system. Instead, they pulled up outside an old barbershop that hadn't opened in 3 years. Malik tapped twice on the side door and waited. It cracked open. A woman in her 50s peered out, one eyebrow arched. "Malik Ross, I thought you died." "I'm still undercover," he said, helping Cameron out. "Need a safe room. 48 hours. She looked the kid over, nodded once. "Follow me." Back in the car, Malik stared at the street. Sunlight spread across the cracked sidewalks of Franklin Avenue. He thought about the agency's message. Just monitor. Do not engage. He tossed the burner phone onto the passenger seat and crushed it beneath his elbow. That's when his real phone buzzed, the one buried under the floor mat, only for worst-case use. "Private number." He answered. A voice on the other end said calmly, "Mr. Ross, you've just compromised a 2-year operation. Do not move. A vehicle is en route." Malik hung up without replying, because in his rearview mirror, Jelen Moore's SUV was rolling past. And this time, Jelen saw him. For a second, their eyes locked. Malik kept still behind the wheel, watching Jelen's SUV roll past in slow motion. The man in the driver's seat didn't wave, didn't smile. He just stared, long and unreadable, like he was memorizing Malik's face for a reason. Then the SUV picked up speed and disappeared down Franklin Avenue, tinted windows swallowing everything inside. Malik exhaled. Too late now. He pulled the car into gear and rolled out slow, swinging a wide turn before disappearing down an alley where 2 trash bins blocked the view. He parked behind a boarded-up church, waited 10 seconds, then stepped out. He moved fast. His burner was already crushed. The agency knew he was off script. His only advantage now was time, or whatever scraps of trust he had left from folks who owed him favors. The safe house behind the old barber shop wasn't much. A back room with a mattress, a rusty sink, and walls that hadn't seen fresh paint since Clinton was president. But it was quiet. And it was hidden. Cameron lay on the mattress, breathing heavy but steady. His eye had started to open. Malik had stitched the split lip and wrapped the ribs as best he could with gauze and a roll of medical tape he kept in the trunk. "You didn't have to come back," Cameron muttered. "You're not a runner," Malik said. "Not built for that life. They just thought you were disposable." "I was," Cameron said bitterly, "until they figured out I could do numbers better than their own guy. Started making me do drop schedules, street to house times, load weights." He looked away. "I even made them a fake syllabus for one of their real estate fronts, just like school." Malik clenched his jaw. Kids were becoming the new logistics managers, not muscle, not lookouts, brains. "Where's your sister now?" he asked. "Home," Cameron said. "Unless they already—" "She's not hurt," Malik cut in. "Not yet." Later that day, Malik met up with someone he hadn't seen in 4 years. Vera Salgado, a former narcotics detective turned bail bonds rep. She wore gold hoops the size of bracelets and kept a 9mm in her purse next to her asthma inhaler. They met in a church parking lot during a fake Girl Scout bake sale. Malik picked up a banana bread, passed her an envelope. "Need a location trace. Black GMC, custom grill, plate ends in 9T7. Driver's Jelen Moore." Vera raised an eyebrow. "You're not supposed to be doing this kind of asking." "Neither are you," he said, nodding at her purse. She grinned. "Touché." She peeked in the envelope. "You get this from an agency drop or a street contact?" "Both," he said. "I mix the sources." "Keeps everyone a little wrong." Vera whistled low. "They teach you that in Quantico?" He didn't answer. That night, Vera texted him coordinates and a time. 11:52 p.m., cross streets near the rail yard. He parks. Doesn't always go inside. Malik arrived early and went in on foot. The warehouse wasn't abandoned. It was in disguise. The front sign read, Owens Freight Logistics, but all the recent activity showed something else. Fresh tire tracks, guard dogs that didn't bark, and a row of unlicensed Sprinter vans lining the back. Inside, through a cracked pane of reinforced glass, Malik saw what looked like a classroom. Whiteboard, desk, a laptop running something with satellite overlays and street grids. And a kid, not Cameron, but someone maybe 13, tapping numbers into a spreadsheet, while a man with neck tattoos barked instructions from the side. The math teacher in him nearly forgot the mission. This was a system, and Cameron hadn't been the only student pulled in. He was just one of the first who wanted out. Suddenly, a voice in Malik's earpiece, one he hadn't heard in months. "Malik, this is Director Crane. You've been officially flagged. Extraction team is inbound." He didn't respond. Crane continued, voice cool. "You were given latitude. You were trusted. But you've interfered with the federal sting. You've compromised our timeline, our leverage, and our optics." Malik pressed a finger to the mic taped under his collar. "I saw the leverage. It's wearing a middle school uniform and punching in cartel ledgers. You let this grow. On purpose." Crane's voice didn't flinch. "Don't be dramatic. You were supposed to observe, not rescue." Malik stared at the kid through the window. "I didn't rescue," he said quietly. "I recruited." Then he walked back into the shadows before backup could find him. By the time the agency's extraction team arrived at the rail yard, Malik Ross was gone. No trace, no footprints, no heat signatures. Just one burner phone left face down near a broken crate, its screen lit with a looping message typed in a secure encryption app. "You train them like assets. I see them as kids. I'll be in touch." 2 days later, in the cramped back office of the barbershop turned safe house, Malik sat on a milk crate while Cameron's little sister Layla sat cross-legged on the mattress, sorting flash drives by color. She was only 12, but she had the same sharp, observant eyes as her brother. And Malik knew she'd seen too much already. "Is this really going to stop them?" she asked, holding up a red flash drive. "Jellin and his people?" "Not by itself," Malik said, "but it'll pull the rug out. The drives held more than ledgers now." Cameron, in his downtime, had mapped full trafficking routes, times, drop spots, even which school staff looked the other way for cash. It was enough to bury reputations, send shockwaves through law enforcement, and prove what Malik had suspected all along. The agency wasn't just watching, they were negotiating. That's what Malik couldn't live with. That's why he never filed the report. He passed Layla a prepaid phone. "You memorized the number?" She nodded. "Good. You call me if anything feels off. Cameron will stay with Miss Vera for now. She's good people. Keeps a shotgun and 2 Rottweilers." Layla smirked, but the fear lingered under her expression. "What about you?" she asked. "Aren't they looking for you too?" "They're always looking," Malik said, slipping a key into a small safe hidden under the floor panel. Inside, new IDs, passports, and 2 wads of cash wrapped in hair ties. "But I'll keep moving. That's my job now." 3 weeks later, Carver Prep High hosted a sudden administrative shakeup. Vice Principal Carla Dennis resigned, due to health reasons. 2 teachers were reassigned without warning. The school's boxing gym partnership quietly dissolved. And one brave teenage girl named Deja published an anonymous expose in the city paper's youth column. It featured code names, cold numbers, and a buried quote. "They said he wasn't even a real teacher, but he taught me how to fight anyway." Across the state line, in a quiet motel in Virginia, Malik Ross sat watching the news from a flickering screen. No mention of his name, no credit. Just a fast-talking anchor saying a multi-agency investigation into school-funneled trafficking had brought down 3 regional supply routes. He muted the TV. His phone buzzed. It was Cameron. The message was simple. Layla made honor roll, said to tell you thanks. Malik stared at the screen, then typed back. Tell her she already passed the hardest test. Outside, the wind picked up across the empty lot. Malik tucked the burner away, pulled up his hood, and disappeared into the night. Just a quiet man with a duffel bag full of truths nobody wanted to carry. But he would, because for every kid they overlooked, there was someone like him watching, waiting, and moving in silence. This story wasn't just about one case. It was about how quickly truth can vanish when assumptions replace evidence, and how unchecked authority becomes a weapon instead of a shield. It was about fear, how it twists judgment, silences witnesses, and turns policy into harm. But more than anything, it was about dignity and the fight to hold on to it. For every family who never got the apology. For every name that was buried under suspicion instead of cleared by justice. For every child forced to grow up the moment someone else decided they looked guilty. So if this story made you feel something, don't let it end with sympathy. Let it push you to ask harder questions, to challenge what's hidden, and to care before the sirens start. You don't need a badge to speak the truth. You just need to know when silence becomes complicated. If this story spoke to you, like, share and comment, because conversations lead to awareness. And awareness? That's where justice begins.